Tisha B'av is a day we commemorate Churban Beis Hamikdash. But do we really understand what Churban Beis Hamikdash means? Do we understand year 2025 in Lakewood, New Jersey, how Churban Beis Hamikdash affects us? We've been through Tisha B'av so many years, but could we really define Churban Beis Hamikdash? And the second thing I want to discuss is, the Gemara in Tainus tells us that Tisha B'av is a day of crying, a day we bring out our deepest emotions. Just like every Yontif has its avodah, how we bring out the theme of the Yontif on Pesach Matzis, on Rosh Hashanah Shofar, on Sukkot the Sukkah. So on Tisha B'av, the Gemara tells us through stirring up our deepest emotions. That's how we bring out Tisha B'av. What do we do with those emotions? How do those emotions connect us to Tisha B'av? And the third thing I want to discuss is, Rabbi Yisrael Salant introduced us to something fascinating about Tisha B'av. He says that a person can grow from Tisha B'av as much as a person can grow from Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. That means when we walk out of here, Matzah Tisha B'av, we can have that same feeling of connection to the Rebbeinu Shalom just like after Nila. How do we access such a feeling? How do we change that by tomorrow night we're different people? And I think the answer is, if we really understand what Churban Beis Hamikdash is, then we'll have a deeper understanding of Tisha B'av, and we won't have any questions. The Brisker Rav, when he was informed of the Petir of the death of the Chazon Ish, the Brisker Rav said, yesterday it was a world with the Chazon Ish, today it's a world without the Chazon Ish. What the Brisker Rav meant is that when the Chazon Ish was nifter, it's not just we were missing the Chazon Ish, it's a different world. And I think that really highlights what Churban Beis Hamikdash was. There was a world with the Beis Hamikdash, and there's a world now without the Beis Hamikdash. The world with the Beis Hamikdash, the pasuk says, Yefei noif meisais kol haaretz. The whole world had tranquility, the whole world had simcha, fueled by Yerushalayim, by the Beis Hamikdash. That was the power grid of simcha. Not like today. Tragedies are current events. We open up the papers, all we see is tragedies. How many people are walking around with a smile? Maybe some on their faces, but how many in their hearts? That's not the world of the Beis Hamikdash. The Gemara in Brachos Daf Gimel gives us a fascinating understanding of what Galus and Gula is. From the Rebbeinu Shalom himself, the Gemara tells us, by Churban Beis Hamikdash, the Rebbeinu Shalom cries, Oy lebanim, woe to my children, shegolu mal shulchan aviyim. They were sent away from their father's table. Now, if you think about that Chazal for a minute, just imagine what the Beis Hamikdash was. Klal Yisrael sitting with the Rebbeinu Shalom at the head of the table. Not the Rebbeinu Shalom, our Father, our Tati, that ensures and takes care of everything for us. Nothing to worry about today, nothing to worry about tomorrow. Our Father is sitting there. He gives us exactly what we need. No worries. Tomorrow isn't scary. And the clarity we see, it's the Rebbeinu Shalom running everything. That was in the world of the Beis Hamikdash. In the world of the Beis Hamikdash, the Rebbeinu Shalom lived in our world. Just imagine if Reb Chaim Kanievsky would have moved onto this block, how much Kedusha there would be on this block. When the Rebbeinu Shalom lived in our world, the Rebbeinu Shalom, the source of bracha, there was just bracha, that's what the world consisted of. And now, mipnei chateinu golinu me'artzeinu, We have a world of confusion. A world sometimes, foolishly, we think the Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't run it. A world of darkness. Just imagine how we sit here now and we know Acheinu B'nai Yisrael in the Gaza are deep, deep in the darkest tunnels. We've heard so many stories how they were blinded. Physical darkness. How Acheinu B'nai Yisrael in Iran. Who knows how they're treated in the darkest jails in Iran. And how many Yidden have emotional darkness, sitting in jail, sitting in the hospitals, very sick, waiting for Yeshuas, waiting for children, waiting for Parnasa, children at risk. Emotional confusion, emotional pain, emotional darkness. And we have spiritual darkness. If you want to make a bris in Antwerp, you have to close the window shades. Make sure there's just 10 people in year 2025. You can't make a bris in Antwerp. And unfortunately, spiritual darkness is even darker in Eretz Yisrael. When our own brothers, our own Yidden, rip out from the Beis Medrash the nicest segment of Klal Yisrael, the B'nai Torah. Darkness at its best. Fueled by the Rebbeinu Shalom after the Churban Beis HaMikdash disconnecting from us. Like the Gemara says in Brachis, this Chaymes HaBarzel, thick walls are disconnecting us from the Rebbeinu Shalom. The Sharei Tefillah are locked. That's what Golus is. And Eicha, we're going to say tonight, we are considered like a Nida, and the Mefarshim explain, because we lost that closeness to the Rebbeinu Shalom. That's what Golus is all about. And on a personal level, in Eicha tonight we're going to describe our feelings after the Churban like an Almana. What does an Almana mean? Let me share with you a story. I know an Almana that she lost her husband. Her oldest child was 13 years old. She had 5 children. Baruch Hashem, der Rebbeinu Shalom helped her. She had tremendous Yad Shmaya. And she married off all her children. Beautiful Shidduchim. After the chuppah of her last son, I went over to her and I told her, Mrs. Hershkowitz, Baruch Hashem, you did it. And she turned around and she told me, but who can I share it with? That's an almana. How many times do we carry pain in our heart? We have nobody to share it with. How painful and how piercing that pain is. David HaMelech says in Tachnu, my bed is soaked with tears. Is he trying to dramatize his sorrows? No. He's trying to explain his sorrows can be so bad that nobody understands it but your bed, but your pillow. That's Golus. When the Rebbeinu comes around, we won't have that piercing pain. Everybody has that pain to a degree. Tomorrow at the end of Kinnis, we're going to compare ourselves to a young Kala that got married and became almana right away. A young couple, married with dreams, tomorrow, the next day, building. The dreams are shattered. How many times in our personal life does that happen? Our dreams, our tomorrow is shattered. Our tomorrow becomes our adversary. Our tomorrow becomes scary. That's Churban Beis HaMikdash. So there are two worlds. A world of tranquility, a world of simcha, and a world we live in of Churban Beis HaMikdash. Tonight we ask ourselves, which world do we want to be in? Do we want to be in the world of the Rebbeinu Shalom, of Beis HaMikdash, of Mashiach, of Gula? Or we want to stay in this world seatbelted with our luxuries and our taivas and our laziness? Or we're too weak, we gave up, we don't believe in ourselves. We don't believe we can live together with the Rebbeinu Shalom. We gave up hope. Golus has impacted us so much that we're immune. We can't move anymore. That's the question we have to ask ourselves tonight. And we would all love to answer yes. But we know deep, deep down, do we have that deep conviction to say yes? Do we really believe in it? Do we really feel we're ready for such a life? Deep, deep in Golus, almost 2,000 years since the Churban. The answer is, not really. So how are we going to bring the Gula? The answer is Tisha B'av. That's what Tisha B'av is all about. If we realize and we follow the directions of the way Chazal painted, the way Tisha B'av should look to us, and they gave us an exact schedule. You come into Beis Medrash, it should be dark, sitting on the floor full of ashes, not crying, screaming, being maspid the Beis Hamikdash, others scream Baruch Dayan Emes, and creating an ambiance like it's Meisai Mutal Lefanov, like there's a Levaya over here. Why? What was the theme, the thinking process behind Chazal? Because Chazal wanted to impress on you, there's something missing. We're at a Levaya now, a part of ourselves is missing. We're existing. We're not living. We're Geula Dike Yidden. We're not Golus Dike Yidden. Yes, you're almost 2,000 years in Golus and we're impacted and impressed by Golus and we adapted their lifestyles. But that's not who we are. We're Geula Dike Yidden. The Svar Makdoshim say, when the Beis Hamikdash was burnt, the ashes were split, and you know where the ashes were put? In the hearts of every Yid. Every Yid is a Beis Hamikdash Yid. The Gemara Chagiga says, "B'mistorim tifka nafshi." It's a pasuk in Eicha. We're going to say it tonight. The Rebbeinu Shem cries in a secret place, because we know the Gemara says, "Oiz v'ched v'b'mekaymai." In Shemayim there's simcha. So where's the Rebbeinu Shem crying in a secret hideout? Zok Maral. You know where that hideout is? Do you know where the Rebbeinu Shem is crying? The Rebbeinu Shalom is crying in every Yiddish house. Are we not Beis Hamikdash Yidden? And that's what tonight is supposed to impress on us. And we continue by saying Eicha. What is the theme of Eicha? Eicha over and over again. We're in a state of shock. We can't believe it. It doesn't make sense that we're in Golus. That's Eicha. That's the theme that Chazal want to impress on us tonight. Be shocked. This is not where you're supposed to be. This is not who you are. The mirror you look at, break that mirror. That's not who you are. Have a mirror of your heart, like the Maral says. B'mistorim tifka nafshi. Illuminate that piece of Beis Hamikdash that's in your heart. That's who we are. Eicha, Eicha, Eicha. In a dark room, like a Levaya. Being maspid the Beis Hamikdash, that's ourselves. We're existing, we're not living, and realize that, and realize that, and realize that. And then there's a second theme throughout Eicha and Kinus. We discuss the tsaris over and over and over again. Why? The answer is that we should impress on ourselves. This is not an option, the life we have. Tsaris is not infrequent, it's a chain. It's a brother of Gullus. That's what Gullus is all about. Tsaris, tragedies of current events. And realize that. And that should force you to make the decision that this is not an option. And realize who we are, how special we are. We're Beis Hamikdash Yid, and we read Eicha. I say over this story every year that There was Yugamanin tells that ArtScroll offered him the day after Sukkot to write and translate Eicha. And he went to his Rashiv, he said, it's right after Zman Simcha Seinu, how can I translate Eicha? He said, no, Eicha is really a book all year round. Just we cry it on Tisha B'av. Because that shows who we really are. That illustrates who we really are. We're special. We're different. We're not like the Goyim out there. There's a famous story of Rav Yaakov Galinsky. He was thrown into Siberia and he had a roommate, and the first night he watches his roommate get up 3 o'clock in the morning and takes out from a bag and starts dressing himself in a general's uniform. Rav Yaakov Galinsky jumps out of bed and asks him, what's going on over here? So he said, they threw me into Siberia, but I don't want to forget my identity that I was a general. They can do whatever they want to me, but I'm going to hold on to my real identity that I'm a general. And he put on his general clothes and he saluted to himself every night not to forget his identity. That's what Eicher is about, and that's what Kinnis is about. And even if unfortunately we're not Zeicha, that tomorrow the Beis Hamikdash should be rebuilt. But we can still change as human beings. We can realize our future, our hope is the Beis Hamikdash. Not the next vacation, the next trip, the next time we go out. If our future is the Beis Hamikdash, then our whole Avodas Hashem is a different Avodas Hashem. In davening we say, Kishlu Ascha Kivinu Kol Hayoim. We ask and we hope for the Bayis Mishu every day. What does that mean? Why should that bring the Geula? Do tshuva. Why Kishlu Ascha Kivinu? Because we hope. You can sit on your beach chair and hope. You have to do tshuva to bring Mashiach. The answer is no. When a person hopes for Mashiach, it defines who the person is. He's a person that's fueled by Ruchnius, fueled by Beis Hamikdash, fueled by a connection to the Rabbeinu Shalom. And when the Rabbeinu Shalom sees, after our Eichan, after our Kinnis, how we want him so much, it's so endearing to the Rabbeinu Shalom, our spouse, we can hope because of that. He'll give us the Beis Hamikdash, at least he'll bring us closer to the Beis Hamikdash. The closing by the Rebbe, when he left the concentration camp, said they took everything away from him. But the future they couldn't take away from him. Yes, they can take away his naches, his children. That tomorrow they can take away. But the future from every year that is Mashiach, even though the closing by the Rebbe is not here, but he'll be here when Mashiach comes. That future will be smiling. That future he can never take away from us. And even if Mashiach doesn't come, if we transfix ourselves on that future, and that's our future, we can come on Tisha B'av as different Yidden. There's a famous story with the Belusheva Rebbe in the concentration camps. For months before, the Rebbe was busy. He wanted to be able to get wicks and oil to be Mekayim the mitzvah of Adlokas Neiros. And finally, after plenty ups and downs and disappointments, he succeeded. And the first night Hanukkah comes, and the Rebbe makes the first bracha, Lahadlik Ner, and you can imagine everybody is surrounding him after a day of work with not knowing what tomorrow is going to bring. And then he makes Shas and Nisim. And then he's about to make the third bracha, Shechiyanu. Then somebody screams out to him, Rebbe, V'yazoi kenst machen a Shechiyanu. How could you make a Shechiyanu? Are we living? And the Rebbe stopped for a minute. And the Rebbe said, after the minute, Baruch Atah, and he made the Shechiyanu. And after that, they went over to the Rebbe and they asked him, what was your thinking process? So the Rebbe said, when I heard the question, I wasn't going to make the Shechiyanu. You're right. This is living. This is living. Then I thought to myself, but you all came crowded around to hear that Locust Neiris. You're all here in such trying times. Ay shechiyanu v'kimonu v'giyanu lasman hazeh. Rebbeinu Shalaylam, Klal Yisrael, all over with all the tzores, 2,000 years, almost 2,000 years in Galus. We're here, we're present, we want inspiration, we want to connect to you. Not always can we enact on it, but we want. Rebbeinu Shalaylam, please give us the opportunity by sending Mashiach, that we should be able tomorrow with the Shema Malchus to say Shechiyanu v'kimonu v'giyonu lasman hazeh, and we should be Zoicha v'sechazenu einenu b'shuvcha l'tzion b'rachamim.